Hello everyone, this is the first segment of a series of segments that I'll do for this one video for those of you who want to follow the cycle process. I am on day 5. I just did an ammonia test and my ammonia levels are still at 0, and also indicated by this little $4 piece of equipment that I bought from Petco. Also indicates that my ammonia levels are safe. I also changed out this light in my ReeferGil. The other light was getting a little too warm. This is a LED light that I bought from Petco or PetSmart, and actually illuminates the ReeferGil a lot better too, with less heat. So I'll use the other light for something else. Other than that, the tank still looks great. The damsel's in there. He comes out at night. He's not eating, but he's still cruising around in the tank. Everything's looking good, and we'll continue with a series of updates on the progression of my cycle. We're in day 7 of my cycle. Ammonias are still reading 0, and then I just measured the nitrite just because, and that's also 0. Quick little update, I added a second damsel to the aquarium to help jumpstart the cycle. I have dry reef saver rock with one small piece of live rock I got from my local fish store. I did away with the glass covers and made these screens. I bought the material from Ace Hardware store and just put these screens together. It's better for the evaporation and cooling of the system. I also put an auto top off system in, the Tsunami by Blue Line. Stuck that bad boy on, and there's the probe for that. Other than that, day 7, no nutrients still in the tank. Cycle has not yet started. We are in day 12 of my cycle for my 75-gallon reef, soon-to-be reef tank. 0 ammonia, 0 nitrite, and 0 nitrate. I have the 2 damsels trying to do their job there. Progress is slow because of the dry rock, which was to be expected. Just a couple little modifications that I made to the tank. And by the way, the skimmer's starting to foam up pretty good in day 12. So again, 2-week time period to break that thing in is what usually people will say about the octopus, reef octopus, and it looks like it's going to be true. Hung a computer fan using some plumber's tape just attached to the bottom of the stand, and it's hanging right above the sump area to cool down the water. I'm constantly running around 79 degrees. Ideally I like to have it around 78, 79 is not bad, no big deal, but it's just proven to be a little difficult to get the temperature down. Went out and purchased this ottoman to hide the RODI top-off jug that I had out before exposed. Inside the ottoman is the RODI water with the Tom's Aqua Lifter pump. And then these 2 jars here are going to contain the alkalinity and calcium, which I will also be running automatically once the equipment comes from Bulk Reef Supply and I figure out how much to dose the tank after the cycle is done, of course. But there we are, day 12, and still waiting for the cycle to start. We're now day 14 of my cycle. A couple of little changes. Starting to see some diatom growing in this part of the tank here on top of the sand bed. And also in the sand against the glass, you can see all these little crevices, caves, little holes in the sand, indicating that life's starting to spark within the sand bed. Once in a while I'll see some nitrogen bubbles pop out of the sand bed to the surface of the water, so that's good. And then the skimmer's starting to pick up some of this yellow gunk. It actually started picking that up yesterday on day 13, so that's about as long as it took for the skimmer to break in, and about as long as it took for my tank to start building up. junk that the skimmer would pick up. My ammonia is still either not present or very low and starting to rear its ugly face. My little ammonia indicator on the side of the tank is changing. The center is starting to change from yellow to more of a yellow-green. So hopefully that's a good indication that my ammonia is starting to rise, and I'll keep a close eye on that. But that is day 14 of the cycle. Alright, day 18 of my cycle. I'm doing these little mini episodes whenever there's any changes to the system or I purchase equipment that I want to update you guys on. The changes to the system that I want to show you is, if you remember the last episode, there were some diatoms here on top of the sand. Well, those diatoms are now completely gone. Coincidentally, the same day that I noticed the diatoms, I also noticed my GFO was coagulating and getting hard, so I had to switch out the GFO, and the next day the diatoms are gone. I don't want to mess with the natural cycle process, but having the GFO get hard on me like that, I really didn't have a choice. I had to switch it out. So I'll monitor that a little bit more closely. As far as the skimmer goes, I just cleaned it out. It had a bunch of gunk in the reservoir there. It was recommended that I actually lower the water line in the skimmer so that the skimmer is unable to push out waste that will be beneficial to the cycle process. And at the same time, by leaving it on, it's allowing the break-in period to continue. So I'm going to try that for a few days and see what happens. I also purchased some new pieces of equipment, a couple of dosers, and an emergency float switch for the auto top off. So I'll be showing you guys that. And the next thing we'll be doing is testing the nitrite and ammonia. I've been testing ammonia every single day, sometimes twice a day, and I had never seen a spike in ammonia. So I'm just going to do the nitrate test and see what we get. Alright, here's the test results. Ammonia, it's been just cloudy like this every single time I've tested. Never saw a spike, never got to see the ammonia go into the yellow areas of this chart. So I'm going to go ahead and say I have less than 0.25 ammonia. However, the nitrite is pretty much off the chart. Nitrite is at 5 mg, so looks like the nitrites are spiking here. So I don't know if that means that I had a very small and short spike in the ammonia or what. So I don't know how to translate that. And then the nitrates are right around 20. I'm not really too concerned with the nitrates right now, since the nitrites are the ones that are spiking. It's my understanding I could actually get false readings on the nitrates at this point. So yeah, that's what I have there. Let me know what you guys think. If the cycle has started, that ammonia process has either spiked and did its thing within a very short period of time, or the spike was so minimal that it was undetectable by the Salifert test kit that I have here. Any comments would be highly appreciated, and we'll go ahead and look at some equipment that I purchased. I received my bulk resupply shipment here. I purchased 2 of these peristaltic pumps. They'll be dosing pumps that I'll be using for my bionic alkalinity and calcium down the line once the tank settles down from the cycle and I figure out how much to dose. I'll be using 2 of these. And then also my emergency float switch came in for my auto top off. I'll be using this as an emergency float switch in case the water level rises too high. My reef keeper will be able to turn off the pump and prevent flooding. I have some heat shrink here, so what I plan to do is get the connection here, solder the connection to the float switch, and then use a heat shrink to kind of prevent water from getting in there and damaging it. I'll probably end up doing a video on the emergency float switch and how I connected it to the Reef Keeper, as well as doing a separate video on doing the same thing with the dosing pumps and utilizing the Reef Keeper with that. So stay tuned for those videos, and I'll have more episodes on the cycle itself. The last update I want to do is on these screens. As you remember, I had glass covered screens to keep the dog hair out. I have 2 German Shepherds and I didn't want their hair in the system. So I went out and purchased screens from Ace Hardware, but their screens, the little squares in the screen, were pretty small, and when the pumps were on and the lights, when the pumps were off and the lights were on, I could see on top of the sand bed how much light was not getting through. So I went out and purchased these from Bulk Reef, and these screens are 1/4 inch squares, and with the pumps off and the lights on, I can visually see there's a lot more light going into the display. So I'm really happy with these, and in addition to the dog hair staying out, it'll also keep any jumpers from committing suicide by jumping out of the tank. So I'm really happy with these. And the height of the lights I lowered from 8 inches above waterline to 5.5 inches above waterline. I was going to do just one long video of my cycle, but because along the way I'm having questions, it wasn't really going to benefit me to do that, because those questions wouldn't be answered in a timely manner. So what I'm going to do is split up the videos so that I can release them whenever I have questions, so that I can get some guidance from you guys as far as what direction I should be going and what steps I should take. Thanks for watching, and please comment. One last thing, I just noticed this. You can see all those little white dots on the back of the black glass. Those look like little mini starfish. So there's a whole bunch gathered up right there. My camera's not really going to give you too many details about what they look like, but basically they have around 4 little legs on them. There's a couple on the front glass right here, right there, but I gotta get a better camera for you guys. But it's pretty cool. Got some life going on here. Like I mentioned before, the sand bed itself, you could see bubbles there and some little caves. So the nitrogen bubbles are building up, so definitely a good sign. I just wanted to show you guys the little cluster of mini starfish is what I'm calling them. I don't know what their technical name is, but yeah, let me know what you guys think.